For poops and giggles, let's... Wait a second. Why do I feel like I've been here before? Bam! We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you bumper delivery. That's right, guys. We're super excited. We sent out an SOS on the Odyssey Life Facebook page asking anybody who had a second-gen bumper laying around, an extra one, a spare one laying on the parts pile. And Brandon, who's a member of the Odyssey Life Facebook page, stepped up to the plate, got a hold of us, said, hey, I got this bumper. We said, fantastic. As you can see, it's still packaged for shipping. So let's go ahead, let's open this bad boy up and see how much metal work's going to be involved with, you know, getting this up to the GT250 level and powder coating. Here's a close-up. This I saw in the pictures. Looks like a fence post or something. We're going to have to straighten that out, and if you look at this side, kind of bent it a little bit there, so we're going to have to straighten that out. But overall, it doesn't look too bad. So we'll put this bumper in the Q or the Quay, whatever they call it, and yeah, we'll get to this ASAP so we can get this off to powder coating. Alright folks, let's get back to regularly scheduled programming. For poops and giggles, let's... Wait a second, why do I feel like I've been here before? Oh, that's right, because we installed the carburetor, but the intake was upside down. I don't know what happens, guys, but I was grateful that Randy Lee, a member of the Odyssey Life Facebook group, and a few other people let us know that that intake is on upside down, and we're going to uninstall our carburetor and go ahead and flip that intake up. Right side up.
One for the money, you know what it is. Two for the show, yeah, we shut it down. Three just to make sure you ready. Four, let them know that we run this town. One for the money, you know what it is. Two for the show, yeah, we shut it down. Three just to make sure you ready. Four, let them know that we run this. Feeling good, yeah, I could taste it. I could tell that it's one of them days. Sun keep beaming and shining on my face. Surfing the breeze, yeah.
Alright guys, that looks a lot better. Carburetor sitting level. Why didn't I notice that? Let's continue moving forward on our electrical system, plumbing and wiring. Alright guys, see you in a second. Which brings us to our steering wheel. We still have to reassemble this bad boy and install all of our mechanisms. And as promised, we'll have lots of diagrams up on the screen for you to follow along, just in case you're rebuilding your FL250 in your garage. To get started, we need to be mindful of a couple grease points. All the grease points are everywhere the shaft goes into. So we have a grease point here, 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 and here. All silicone based grease, and as I always say, once you get a little grease on something, you get a little grease on everything. So let's go ahead, before we install the mechanism, let's go ahead and let's put some grease on this bad boy. So now we can put our mechanisms in. Let's go ahead, let's put some grease on here. There's a little felt spacer, washer, whatever, right here, as you can see. That goes on, actually it's on both of these, one here and one here, and it goes in between the trigger and the actual casting of the steering wheel. So let's go ahead, let's slide that on. We're going to go ahead and take the extra grease. We're just going to pack it in there. Doesn't have to be extremely clean in there. We just want to get the grease in there. Alright, we can spin her around there. Make sure grease gets on all sides. There we go. Now we can repeat the process with this one. wipe that gob of grease off. Now that we have our 2 shafts in and we have our all of our grease, you can grab a Phillips head screwdriver, preferably that one because it's the best size for the head. Before we install that one, we want to install our spring like so. I'm going to slide it on like this. I hope you saw that.
Nope.
We need to slide this out so then, so then we can adjust. There we go. There. There. Now, just push in on the end. Now, notice that the spring with the bent end goes over, and the one with the straight end goes across our actuating arm. That feels about right. So let's go ahead. Let's put our screw back in. All right. You want it tight, but you don't want to strip it. So keep that in mind. And then next, we have our brake. So we'll try to get them both about the same as far as the trigger pull. And we'll line it up there. And then if we have to make an adjustment after we get the cable running up to the steering wheel, we can do that afterwards. Don't forget, remove your screw. This has a stop at the bottom also. So we have to remember that goes on the bottom. You'll see the stop at in the casting as well. We're good to go. There are grommets we're gonna have to put on. We have to put this grommet on, which goes down our steering shaft, around on the top of the foot tub. I'll show you where that goes. And there's a grommet that goes here. Like I promised, brand new hardware. I got brand new grommets. I got grommets for everything, guys. Super excited about that. I was super excited to be able to find the grommets. So, all right, steering wheel's reassembled. Got the click of the throttle, and pretty soon that's going to be working our carburetor. Things are getting exciting. All right, guys, see you at the buggy. So here we are. We're at our steering wheel. The steering wheel itself is held on by a nut, a lock washer, and a washer. There's also a washer that goes underneath it right here. We're going to go ahead. Before we do that, we have this grommet that we have to put in, and that grommet goes right here. All right, and we can make the steering wheel cover one of the last things we put on. It only takes a second to get under there, hook the wires up. When we get the tires put on, we can dial it in better. We just need the steering wheel installed basically more for the cables than anything, because we still have our brake caliper to install, which we're not going to do right this second. In fact, now that we have this installed, we're going to go ahead, we're going to jump back on our wiring. Yeah, super excited to get started. I guess we'll get a couple of the things we're going to have out of the way for when we run our harness. Let's go ahead, let's put our coil wire on. I was looking at the directions, and the coil wire itself, the wire points towards the back, and this connection right here points this way. The coil mounts right here, and then we're going to put our CDI on, and that just slides on right below that with a rubber band mount. When we install the CDI goes on with the connection pointing towards the back of the machine and facing down to receive the connection from the wire harness. So, all right, guys, it's just a small little mundane step, but let's go ahead and get our coil wire mounted. That's going to be done by 2 8mm bolts with lock washers. We're only going to put one in because we have a ground that connects to here also. We want to make sure we don't forget that. All right, guys. Yeah, so okay, let me grab the harness and I'll be back. Now we're back finally after a few breaks. We have our coil installed, we have our CDI installed. Next we have our battery box, because everything's built off the battery box as far as our starting system goes, our electrical system, because there's the starter solenoid mounts right here, and all the bits and wires and stuff that go along with the starter kit all come into or lead off of that solenoid. So what we have to do is it says in the little instructions, the 9 pages of instructions that come along with this kit, that this battery box mounts behind and above the right rear fender. So it goes on before the fender, but it also goes behind this mounting bolt of your roll bar here. So I have our 12mm impact. We're going to go ahead, we're going to take this bolt out here, and we're going to go ahead and put our battery box on. So all right guys, let's get that. It looks really good. All right guys, I'm going to get you over here. We'll get the starter solenoid mounted here, and then get all our wires on. We got to mount this starter solenoid. I'll put the pages up on the screen. So the starter solenoid goes right here, and it goes like so. So we want to put this stud on the outside. We can put one of these nuts and bolts in, because nothing gets attached to it. Next it tells us to grab the yellow and blue wires, because we're going to fish them through the frame. I think I should have started with the harness, which I have right here, and it's so intimidating and it's got so many pieces. But once you start looking at it and you realize what's what, you get a pretty good idea on your starting place. So I'm looking at the CDI right here, and I'm looking at our coil wire. I know that the coil wire and everything and our CDI connection has to be right here. So to start knowing that I have to connect stuff right here, this right here, this right here. So it'll be a good idea. We could probably start there. Yeah, so we'll start there. Well, folks, it's by no means cleaned up, but it is wired. I did need to show you this. The wiring harness does require you to tap in and steal the power from the wiring harness from the engine. You had the one coming from the engine connecting right here, and the one coming from the stock wiring harness right here. And then this is the yellow wire that comes with the electric start kit. That's plumbed right up in here with our second red that goes to our battery. That's where the power comes from. So, all right, we got our red going from here down to the top of our starter, and our grounds over there. So, all right, I'm gonna get you in here, give you a good look in our montage. All right, guys.
Go, don't stop. We against the clock. Go, don't stop. We against the clock. Head hell high to the north. Run up on me, you can get squished. Big dogs jumping on the porch. Clock ticking, leave it on the field, on the court. Do this for fun and for sport. Team going long and you coming up short. Crossed up, make them touch the source. Ain't no turnovers, we hitting on fourth. Don't play with it, 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 don't stop. We against the clock. Go, don't stop.
Alrighty, gang. You ask, why the mask?
Nope.
Well, because we're going to be drilling into our foot tub to install our starter switch, which we probably should have done before we mounted the foot tub, but hindsight being 2020, we didn't know that. So, yeah, so we're just going to go ahead. The instructions right here, somewhere up here on the screen, says that we're supposed to drill a 5/8 of an inch hole, and we just happen to have a pack of brand new step bits, Christmas tree bits, whatever you want to call them. Big thanks to the Harbor Freight guys that gave me this as a free gift because I'm an Inside Track Club member. Big shout out to Patrick and the gang over there at Harbor Freight. So we're going to go ahead and cut these open. Now we just have to decide where we want our hole. All right, guys, let's go ahead, climb under this beast, and let's see where we're going to drill our hole. I seem to be spending a lot of time on my back lately, and it's really getting on my nerves. All right, let's go up top. Says in the instruction manual it doesn't matter which side you put the yellow and blue wires on, just as long as they're connected. Alright guys, let's step back and take a look at our handiwork. Every week when we make more and more progress, I get more and more amazed, because I didn't ever think we would get this far or that far, or get this done or get that done. But to see our electric start kit fully installed minus the battery and hooking up this button is a good day, guys. We're doing a great job. Let's go ahead, let's hook up our yellow and blue wire up underneath, so then we can call this job done and come back next time, put a battery in, get our cables installed, one thing at a time. And I'm telling you, for being the first time I've ever done any electrical, rewired an entire ATV, you know, wiring was enough for one video, guys. Yeah, so let's get this push button start wired in, and yeah, we'll just pat ourselves on the back for being masters of the universe. All right, guys, let's get these wires hooked up. Alright folks, how about our progress this week? Super excited at where we're leaving off. We're leaving off right before we get to put a battery in this bad boy and make sure our electric start kit starts, works, and the engine functions and everything else. But I'd really like to get the cables and everything else installed, you know, so maybe we can go for the first fire at the same time. But it would be good to check our work, so bet on us checking, make sure our wiring's correct in the next video. Guys, we're getting so close to that first fire that I'm almost allowing myself to dream further, and I'm dreaming about that first ride. I'm so excited, I don't even know what to say. I'm freaking out, man. Don't forget the Odyssey Life Facebook page, the home of no attitudes and egos. It's where we post 99% of our updates concerning the GT250. The Odyssey Life Facebook page is the place to go. So head on over there, click join, become a member, and stay up to date with what's going on Odyssey Life. Don't forget, Odyssey Life YouTube channel is giving away an entire set of cables for your Honda Odyssey ATV, whether it be a FL250, 350, or 400. Here pretty soon we're going to be picking a winner for an entire set of cables, not just the brake cables or the throttle cables or the shifter cables.
All the cables.
A complete set of cables. So hit that subscribe button. Get your name in the hat for when we pick a winner, guys. All right, folks. I guess as I always say, if you're riding, stay safe, wear a helmet, and don't forget, it ain't work if you're having fun. It definitely ain't work when you can watch the GT250 or any Honda Odyssey ATV go from a bare frame to a machine right in front of your eyes, knowing that your hands were the hands that did all the work. And then, you know, it was nothing but fun. So I guess I'll see you next week, unless I'm walking down the street and I fall into a bottomless hole. And I promise when I pop out in China on the other side, I'll jump back in that hole. And when I come out the other end, I'll see you then. All right, guys, see you next week. Where do I come up with this stuff at?